A six-figure loctician, a Sisterlock consultant, and a full day's work. Let me show y'all how I really get it done. But first things first.
Yeah, spicy like a motherfucker, but I'm sweet.
This video is sponsored by BetterHelp. Before I get into today's clients, I just want to talk real quick about something that helps me keep everything in check, especially with mornings like this, trying to get my son ready and out the door before my first appointment. I'm a big fan of therapy, but I know it's not always easy to get started, and that's why I partnered with BetterHelp. BetterHelp is an online therapy platform that matches you with a licensed therapist based on your needs, and it's all from the comfort of your phone, laptop, or wherever you are. You can do sessions by video, phone, or even messaging, whatever fits your lifestyle. And if you're not vibing with your first match, you can always switch at any time with no extra cost. Plus, as a part of the sponsorship, you'll get 10% off your first month when you sign up using my link, betterhelp.com/ClutchNLoc. So whether you're balancing business, motherhood, or just life in general, therapy doesn't have to be complicated. Go to betterhelp.com/ClutchNLoc to get started today. Now back to the Clutch Schedule program. Hey y'all, welcome to my channel. My name is Deanna, but you can call me Clutch. I'm your go-to loctician educator that comes into the Clutch for all things locks, business, and content. I know I've been hitting y'all with a lot of lifestyle vlogs, and I know some of y'all ain't subscribing to me for the lifestyle vlogs. Y'all want that lock content. Shout out to y'all that watch every video that I drop, but I'm gonna give y'all what y'all want and give y'all strictly lock content today. So today we are starting off with a 6:15 a.m. client. She has traditional locks started with coils, and we're going to do a retwist with a simple style, which is 2-strand twist. As always, we're going to start with the complimentary shampoo. Outside of the actual shampoo products, the first rinse is going to be the most important step, and you want to pay attention to that. You notice how her hair is a little bit of a white fuzzy tint as I'm rinsing. I went ahead and plugged my sink because I wanted to soak her hair. I was just noticing that the water was a little bit more cloudy than usual, so I wanted to give her a real deep cleansing shampoo. Now my client comes in for her retwist maintenance on a regular schedule, meaning she comes around every 4 to 7 weeks. Now you see that water. Now imagine somebody coming up to you and saying that you don't have to shampoo your locks because it helps them grow, or that their locks aren't really that dirty because they don't put a lot of product in it, or all they do is work an office job, or they don't really work out. Now imagine those same locks touching your couch or using your pillows. We don't want that. So I say all that to say, let's practice a maintenance schedule. And that doesn't mean always getting a retwist or a lock maintenance if that's not really your cup of tea. You just need to have a consistent schedule when it comes to shampooing. To get that buildup or dirt out with the quickness, I use the brand Lovely Lather Apple Cider Vinegar Shampoo. If you're new here, I use the brand Lovely Lather Shampoo for my detoxes and my deep cleansing shampoos that doesn't really need a soak, but it needs a little bit more elbow grease. Just make sure you don't use the shampoo by itself because it really strips the hair down. Always follow up with the hydration shampoo and conditioner if you're in that stage to use conditioner. But y'all traditional lock people don't have to worry about that. I'm mainly talking to my Sisterlock and Microloc people. Now y'all, look at the flow. My sink started leaking. I unplugged the sink after soaking her hair, and I started hearing dripping on the floor. And I'm not gonna lie, thank goodness I took a couple puffs that morning because I was ready to end my whole day. Cut the cameras, because why is my sink leaking like this? As you can see, my hair isn't dyed, so this is an old video. We can't waste that content. But my sink is still leaking by. Look at my poor little plants on the wall dead. But this brings in my first topic I want to talk about today, and my first rant is home ownership. Y'all, my garbage disposal don't work. 2 of my toilets are acting funny. And the other day I almost got locked out of my salon because my smart lock wasn't acting so smart. Before I continue my post shampoo routine, I spray my clients' locks with the brand Lovely Exhilarating Hair Mist. This is a light hydration mist. If I were to group it with something, it would be like rose water. They have a total of 4 scents, and it's the best seller in my salon. Then I follow up with the Influence Rosemary Stimulating Spray. This spray helps promote hair growth, and because I blow dry after doing everything, it is a great therapeutic feeling. Then to seal it all together, I use oil. I usually use the stimulating scalp oil that's in the jar, but today I use the Influence natural oil. But back to my rant. I say all that to say that homeownership is not easy at all. And I understand why people just choose to rent, because if something goes wrong, they could just call that landlord or maintenance and they'll fix everything right away. And translating it as a loctician slash hairstylist, I also understand why people choose to work in a salon or work in a salon suite. The gel that I'm using is the Influence Honey Almond Lock Gel, but I didn't really care for it on her hair texture and I just switched back to the Influence Lock and Twist Gel. Anyway, now I also understand why somebody would work from home rather than working in a salon suite, because it saves money. And just how people try to deem stylists unprofessional if they don't have a cosmetology license, I definitely do not like how people like to deem at-home stylists unprofessional because they work from at home, or they don't take them seriously because they work from home. But I will say it till I'm blue in the face that that is not true. I have a lot of beginner loctician or beginner hairstylists watching me, and they're confused about which route they want to go. Take it from me, I started from home in my living room, converted a guest room, then converted a weird room in my house, installed a shampoo bowl, and then I built a custom salon in my backyard. And the money that I saved from working from home, that is the money that I used to build out my custom salon. Being an at-home stylist is not unprofessional, but it is if you don't take care of your workspace or have a very toxic environment around you. Always be intentional and always have clear goals. I realize I can go on and on about this, so I probably have to do a sit down video about it, but let's get back to the retwist. Before I begin retwisting, I first clear up the part all the way across, and then I use gel to make sure I keep the hair in its place on the top and on the actual row I'm working on. I wanted to make sure I didn't speed up or edit this clip so you can really see my speed and what I'm doing before I retwist. I clean up any of the hairs that I missed going across and then add a little bit more product to sleek those flyaways back into the lock. Then I split the lock and clear out any hairs. You'll notice that I'm not actually ripping the hair or dragging my comb across just to clear out the part. I am using my comb to go by each strand to put it in its right place. Then I comb down on the new growth just to make it smooth. And no, this does not disrupt the locking process. You know how if you try to put your hair in a ponytail and you don't wet it a little bit, you get like a random tension headache. You don't really want to retwist without clearing the path, because it will cause random hairs to be bumped up and not like really stretched out within each other. There are some instances where there's like a huge space in between the lock shaft and the scalp, but that's not due to combing down on the lock. Sometimes that just happens with certain people. If someone did have a large gap like that, then you will use a crochet needle to tighten it up. After I comb down, I retwist with my comb to the right, and then I palm roll the shaft to smooth out any frizziness along the shaft of the lock. Some people prefer doing the locksmith method, but that ain't my jam, so I'm a palm roll. Now let's get into the 2-strand twist. Your right lock is going to go over the left lock, and the left lock is going to go under the right lock, and then you're going to twist down. If you are ever doing a 2-strand twist and you notice it unraveling, it's probably because you put the left lock over the right lock. And don't over tighten the rubber band. You honestly need about 3 loops and that's it. Over tightening the rubber bands or not giving your locks a break from styles where the rubber band is constantly in the same place, that can cause your locks to thin out or even snap at the end. Clients, I know y'all love y'all styles because it helps preserve your retwist. Man, I love styles too when I have locks, but you want to make sure you police yourself and watch how many times you get a style, or just make sure you don't get them as frequently. Now, locticians, I understand that getting a style is adding more money into your pocket, but make sure you are actually examining the client's locks and updating them on what you're seeing, and being honest with them that they need to chill out on the styles, even if they're not at that point where it's causing thinning or breakage. You want to prevent that. Now let's get a close-up. You see how I'm clearing the hair? I'm using my fingers to guide the hair in different ways, not necessarily ripping it, and then I use the tip of the rat tail part to go strand by strand to clear it out. Here is me retwisting to the right using my comb, and then finishing off to smooth out the frizziness using the palm roll method. I recorded this live and then caught myself in a lie. I did not use the palm roll method on this lock. I'm showing how you can wrap the frizz around the lock rather than doing palm roll or locksmithing. Now we're at the top of the head. So when it comes to the top, I really want to be intentional. Obviously, if we're saying 2-strand twist, then that means that we're using 2 locks and twisting them together. When I install traditional locks, even though I don't necessarily count how many locks there are at the end of the install, I do like to keep a count of how many locks are in each row as I install each row. And what that means is, let's just say I have a row of 4. That means I can get 2 2-strand twists out of that row. But now let's say I have 5 locks in one row. That means I'm going to have 1 oddball out. So that means my upper row, it would either need to have an odd number, or I might need to make a 3-strand rope to make sure that lock isn't a loner by itself, because it does look weird if you forget a lock when you do 2-strand twists. But that also means I don't force it. If I can't get an even amount of locks on the row, then the row would just have an odd number of locks. Keeping that in mind, when it comes to the top, the first 2 rows on either side of the middle part, I make sure to count those locks before I start doing the 2-strand twists, because if it ends up being an oddball in that section, then now I can make sure I have my 2-strand twist up in the front of the head where it's visible, and have a 3-strand towards the back where it's not as visible. I also use the Brand Lovely to re-damp up the hair if I feel like it's too dry. Also, when it comes to how the client wants their locks to lay, I ask them if they want a side part or a middle part. If they say middle part, I proceed with what I'm doing, but if they say side part, I ask them what side they want their part on. Some client says left, but this client today, she wanted her side part on the right. For my main parts especially, I always want to make sure I have 4 locks to 2-strand twist from. But if you look closely, that one loner lock, if I would have 2-strand twisted to the lock behind it, it would have made the side part way too far back in my opinion. And then we had an odd lock on her row above it, so I just 2-strand twisted those together. And I feel like it didn't give it like a weird look or anything like that, so I'm glad it worked out. And this is the final product. I started her locks at 6:15 a.m. and she received a retwist and a basic 2-strand twist style. And then I finished around 8:30 a.m. and she paid a total of $150 plus a $15 tip, making it $165. I walked her out, and then I had a small break in between her and my 9:20 client. So let's get right into it. So my lips dry. My sink is leaking and I don't know what to do. Okay, let me figure this out. This is my 9:20 a.m. client. She has traditional locks that she gets interlocked. We were doing retwisting before, but it was just too painful for her because she's super tender-headed, so we do interlocking. So she pays a total of $165 for her maintenance. And I finished at $11.50. All right, y'all, this is what I'm eating. I made a Reuben and fried some French fries. And then there's Susie. Say hi, Susie. Hi. Next up, we have my 12:25 p.m. 4 to 7 week Sisterlocks Retie. I did not record the shampoo, but if you're interested in seeing my shampoo process for Sisterlocks, I definitely have plenty of videos on my page. The only shampoo that differs from my first client is I use the Influence Deep Cleansing Shampoo versus the Brand Lovely Lather Shampoo because she didn't have a lot of buildup. The tool that I'm using today is the Interlocks tool with the bracelet and extender set. They recently released a 2.0 for the tool, but I haven't purchased it yet. If y'all really want me to do a review on it, I'll go ahead and purchase it, or you could tag them and tell them to send me a free one. Nah, I'm kidding. Not really. But I am doing the 4-point rotation on her hair with the tool. So if you're interested in checking the tool out, I'll make sure to link it in the description below. If you're a returning subscriber, you'll remember that I talked about the rotation, that it could be changed depending on what is going on with the client's hair. I actually recently did her retie and she was talking about some white spots on the front of her hair, and I noticed it was hair follicles. That really has not been a thing. So I actually switched to a 3-point rotation to give her a looser rotation to see if that will help with the with her hair. I'm assuming that the rotation that the 4-point rotation maybe was just too tight for her hair at the time, or maybe she didn't really have enough new growth or the amount of new growth that she usually has when I do the 4-point rotation, and it might have been too tight. So I switched to the 3-point, and then I'll try to make sure I record her next appointment so I can give you my thoughts on switching it up. But now you're seeing why I love her grid so much. Her parting just made sense. Part of the reason why some locticians don't like taking transfer clients is because the parting doesn't make sense and it causes them to add more time to the appointment. And it adds a lot of stress because sometimes you just want to tell the client to start over, but most of the time they don't feel like there's anything wrong with their hair. Before I start interlocking, I clean up the area with my tool, and then I enter to begin my 4-point rotation. The 4-point rotation means I'm going through all 4 sides, and then I finish off. Then I complete the rotation, finishing off entering my tool at the 6, aka the down position. Also, there's really no rule on how you're supposed to finish off the lock, but the best practice is to finish off in the down position. So when you do your hair again or do a client's hair, you know you're supposed to go to either the left or the right. That way you're not accidentally putting holes in the lock. But if you can't finish off at the down position, then it's no problem. It's also best practice to check where you last did your retie so you can make sure you prevent holes because you check where you last entered first, like I'm doing here. Her signature part is the middle part, so I made sure when I finished off the interlocking that I finished off in the down position on either side of the part. And even though with traditional locks, if you do a style, you want to make sure retwist goes in the up position if it's an updo style. It's not necessarily the same with Sisterlocks. If a client wants a style, I might loosen up the interlocking a little bit so it's not so tight to the scalp, because when you do a style, it's going to add more tension. But I do not finish off the interlocking in whatever way the style is going. So that's how traditional locks and interlocking clients kind of differ. I finished my 12/25 4 to 7 week Sisterlocks Retie at around 3 p.m. and this is the finished product. Oh y'all, I just love her parting, and she also prepays for her appointment. Let me know if you're a loctician, if you like when clients prepay, or if you're a client and you like to prepay. But she paid a total of $165 for her appointment, and then I rolled right into my 3:30 appointment, which was a Microloc Retie client. I bundle and band her locks because I noticed she was still dealing with slippage at the end of her locks, which was affecting her overall shaft. So I fixed it, and now I bundle and band because I'm terrified. But I finished her around 5:45, just in time to go pick up Halo from school, and she paid a total of $165. And this concludes my spend a full day in the salon watch me work, and I earned a total of $660. If you have any questions, drop them below. But otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see y'all next week. Have a great day.